And with that, I welcome you into Coach's Corner. That is right, it is a Wednesday night during the Eastern Conference Finals between the Miami Heat and Boston Celtics. So that's happening here while I'm recording live. And we have some stuff to talk about with basketball. And it's going to be a basketball centric show, similar to how we kind of did on Monday's show. But regardless, that feels about right for all the news that we're getting. We finally got the draft lottery sorted out to find out who's going to get Victor Wembanyama. And if you didn't know, I think it was pretty clear that by the name of the title, Victor Wembanyama is the prospect. He is the guy right on, right on his way to being the first overall pick. Pretty easily decided. So real quick, just so that way the audience on YouTube gets a visual. This is Victor Wembanyama standing next to Rudy Gobert, who is 7'3", or 7'2". He's a 7-footer. He's big. This is Victor Wembanyama standing next to him, standing at probably a smooth, at minimum, 7'3". He's one of the more ridiculous prospects in the NBA draft history, I think, because first of all, he's 7'3", and of course, when you're 7'3", you have a wingspan that is longer than a lot of walls that I have in my room. Victor Wembanyama can shoot the three ball, he can dribble a decent amount, and he plays defense similar to the guy I just showed you in Rudy Gobert. He's a unicorn. He truly is one of the more ridiculous players, and say that I'm not going to say that I've broken down film like I'm a coach or anything, but there was some crazy videos of highlights that he had where basically he did a step back 3-pointer and he missed it, but in the same play he managed to get it back and dunk the ball on a putback. So it's one of those highlights you just have to see it to believe it. He truly is one of the more unbelievable players, I think, that I've ever seen. And real quick, I'm gonna go over to here to Tankathon, NBA Tankathon, because they have the odds. They have the mock draft pretty much done here. And yeah, it went out like this. Spurs get the first pick in Victor Wembanyama. Then the Hornets, then the Trailblazers, then the Rockets, and then the Pistons at 5. The Pistons were the big loser of the night because they were supposed to be guaranteed a top 4 pick with how bad they were after Cade Cunningham got hurt. But, unfortunately, they fall to 5 and don't get the benefit of getting the generational talent. Because I won't say that it drops off after the top 2 or 3. But I think the unfamiliarity is definitely a factor when it comes to guys out, the Overtime Elite guys, because Overtime Elite is just an alternative G League type of option for a lot of these prospects that just don't really want to do college. Because, they're going to be one and done, so, why go through all that when they can probably just do whatever they want in Overtime Elite? That's the mentality, I think, and a lot of these guys coming from there, they're just unknown because you have to find those streams on NBA.com, on YouTube, different places of that matter. And I'm not going to act here like I've ever watched Amen Thompson and Asar Thompson. I haven't. I have not seen those guys play. Now, I'll probably get more information and video about who they are leading up to the draft because I'm a guy that kind of I'm watching the entire season. I don't have time to really look at the draft. And then once the NBA season's done, I'll look around players that I think the Hawks should take or just guys in the top 10. And I'll probably look more at those guys then. But right now, I'm just not familiar with them. And so, like I said, Victor is going to be the number 1 pick. I think it's pretty much decided. The Spurs lucked out. They have 3 first overall picks in the past 30 years or whatever, with David Robinson, Tim Duncan, and now Victor. And so Greg Popovich, I'm assuming, won't stick around for Victor's entire career because he's up there in age, but Pop gets like one last, I guess, hoorah here with the generational big man, and we'll see how he handles it. Like, what's the plan? Because I think there definitely should be a plan, going forward, trying to figure out what's the best use of him. Because, I mean, for as big as I say he is tall and stuff, he's not wide. So I'm not sure if he can hold on, like, being down low with a big man. Definitely not like Jokic or Embiid, but, can he be with a guy like, Bam Adebayo? Can he, like, go against him one-on-one in the post or something? I'm not sure. So that's kind of like questions that we have that we'll kind of figure out more as this goes. Brandon Miller, who's like kind of, I guess, famous for having that whole give his buddy the gun thing at Alabama, when that whole scandal went down. Nothing ever came from it, and Brandon Miller subsequently, I think, scored like 41 points against South Carolina in overtime, like the next game. Unreal talent. He kind of disappeared when it came down to it in the tournament, but still, I think he's a bigger player. I think the comp is Paul George at his peak, probably. Like, his ceiling is probably Paul George, and lower it's probably like Isaac Okoro. And so, I'm sorry to my Auburn fans, specifically Matt, that doesn't probably like that, kind of as a diss to Isaac Okoro, but I still think that's kind of maybe his floor. Then Scoot Henderson, who I didn't know he was a point guard. I thought he was a wing, but Scoot Henderson was kind of penciled in as the number 2 guy in this draft, but I think the lack of hearing about him and the rise of hearing about Victor put him down, and also don't know how a point guard would fit next to LaMelo Ball, who's already a point guard in Charlotte. So, like I said, we'll probably break down some more of this, how it works out for each team, like what this means. Because Charlotte getting the number 2 pick, I think, is really big for them in a pivotal time in their franchise, because LaMelo Ball hasn't signed that rookie extension yet. They have plenty of young guys, Mark Williams, PJ Washington. Like, they have pieces along their young lineup, and they kind of picked it up towards the end of last season, defensively specifically. But I don't know. I'm very curious where they'll go, because they really, I think, are like, once they'll kind of set the tone for the draft, I believe, because like I said, they're in a very peculiar position where also the team's being sold by Michael Jordan. So teams being sold during drafts always feels kind of odd to me, but we'll see how that goes. Scoot and I guess number 3, the Trailblazers. Trailblazers got the 3rd pick. I already saw today that they want to shop it. We'll see if they really do, because they kind of said that about their last year's pick, and they ended up just taking Shaedon Sharpe. Damian Lillard's clock is ticking. He's in his early 30s. He's been around the league for a long time. It's been so, like, get out of Portland from everyone in the NBA, like fan bases outside of Portland, for Damian Lillard in the past couple of years, that I don't know if he will ever leave Portland. And I think that the Trailblazers can actually get an impact player here at 3. Now, will they? I'm not convinced, but Portland is a very interesting team to trade down out of this spot. Then the Rockets. The Rockets are also kind of a weird team where there's the rumors about James Harden coming there. Ime Udoka just got hired, who's a pretty win-now type of coach. But we'll see what the Rockets do, what their plans are, because they just drafted Jabari Smith last year. And like I said, the Pistons had such a bad year last year. For them to come back and get this pick is tough, because they are also just a team full of young guys. So do you want to bring in another rookie during your I don't know what to call it, a rebuild, because they've already gotten the players probably that they would build a foundation for with a rebuild in Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, James Duran, Isaiah Stewart. Like, they got a bunch of young guys already. Does adding another rookie really help you here? Or do you package it down for maybe a veteran on a team like, I don't know, the Wizards for Kristaps? I don't know. There's definitely some weird positioning here, And the Magic, who are another team that I think played better than what probably people give them credit for, they're here at 6. The Pacers are kind of similar. They have something in Tyrese Halliburton. What do the Pacers do? They kind of build this foundation they have. Because, I mean, Miles Turner, Buddy Hield, Tyrese Halliburton, Benedict Mathurin they drafted last year, all good players. Now it's just translating it to wins. And that's the issue for a lot of these really young teams that showed just enough promise but aren't in the top 3. They can't get an impact guy because the impact guys are really only in the top 3 mostly. And like once you get past 4, you're mostly looking at projects and rookies who are going to be bad. So, because spoiler alert, rookies are not good at their sports whenever they enter it. That goes for, I think, for like any sport. When you do have like an excelling rookie, that's because they are a special player and you will get that next level probably unlocked sooner than you will the base form of a rookie, which it seems like common sense, but the expectations for young guys just, I think, are way higher than they probably ever should be for anyone. So, and then yeah, we got a couple guys like the Magic do have 2 picks here in the top 11, by the way. So that's kind of an interesting wrinkle as they got the Bulls pick. So, as I said, they're a team that kind of won, I think, more than people thought they did. Paolo Banchero was the number 1 pick last year, and he was fantastic, Rookie of the Year. So, do they like try and get more young guys to build with Paolo? Or do they, like I said, package it for young, like more veteran guys? It's a curious question and something that I think will have to be ironed out. So that's the NBA draft talk. Like I said, the following teams like Dallas, Oklahoma City, Toronto, New Orleans. Interesting teams, I think, that are here in the top 15. Atlanta slots in at 15. And then a lot of teams are getting, a lot of teams traded their picks around here. So Charlotte has 2 in the first round. Indiana has 2 in the first round. Utah has 2 in the first round. Oh, Indiana has 3 in the first round. I didn't even know that. So, yeah, a lot of pick trading here happened in the NBA. And as you see, we get a lot of the results here. So, but that's for that. Let's go to the current state. Let's go to Lakers Nuggets. I kind of previewed it a little bit. I did preview it on Monday's show. And we got the game last night, and boy, was it a lot of fun. Nikola Jokic went crazy. 34 points, 21 rebounds, 14 assists. Absurd performance. He did a lot of what he wanted to do. It was like the resistance wasn't quite there until the fourth quarter, where there was a switch from the Lakers. They decided to put a small ball 4 on Jokic to kind of limit him as a playmaker and as a point guard type deal. And that kind of threw a monkey wrench into what the Nuggets like to do, with Jokic up top, drawing the big man out of the paint, kind of letting guys like Gordon, Porter, like letting them cut and stuff. And because like the just straight up guarding of Anthony Davis on Jokic was not working. It just simply was not. It was not sustainable. And the Lakers figured that out, made their move, made a about 20-point comeback. They never took the lead though. That was, I think, big for the Nuggets there. That they didn't lose this game that kind of way where they blew the lead and lost it, because that feels like old Nuggets type of energy. That feels like a team that isn't as experienced as like LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And they they managed to get enough stops, held on for the victory 132-126. So moving forward, I think the Lakers were going to make the big adjustments that kind of like try and throw off the Nuggets, similar to how they did at the end of the third quarter. But I think something that people are underrating is that the Nuggets can also make adjustments. It's kind of like people think it's one-sided. The Lakers are going to do this and the Nuggets aren't going to do anything because they were winning so easily at the start of the game. No, I think the Nuggets will also adjust. We'll see what their counterpunch is to it, because I don't think that they immediately had that solution, and that's kind of why they stalled and the Lakers came back on them. But I think that, now that they have a day off and can kind of regroup and figure that solution out, I think that'll help them tremendously. And people are also bringing up the fact that the Nuggets shot lights out. But when you really do look at the numbers, like just pure field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, the only statistic where there's really a big difference, and I think was the difference in the game, was the rebounding. The Nuggets, I think, had like 10 plus more rebounds than the Lakers did. So more second chance opportunities for the Nuggets, I think, really hurt the Lakers. But shooting splits, like shooting wise, percentage wise, I think they're all very similar. It's just both teams' offenses were high octane. The 3-point shooting was really good. Nuggets did make, I think, a couple more 3-pointers, but the percentages, like I said, they were the same. They were around the same 45%, 54%, numbers. And I don't think that was really a big factor. I think it was the rebounding and the playmaking from Jokic in the first half that really built that lead. And it's a great series. I think this is a great series. It's a great chess match series for two teams that are very, like, the Nuggets are very good on offense. The Lakers are very good on defense. And then, flip-flop it. The Lakers offense figuring out, the pick and roll switch with Jamal Murray on LeBron James. That was a very interesting thing to watch, because can they do that for 48 minutes? I think that'll be an interesting thing to watch. Can the Lakers do pick and roll with LeBron James and whoever Jamal Murray is guarding for 48 minutes? Because that's really how their offense was flowing consistently, like when they were really making that run. So I don't know. I think that, like I said, very, very tedious series. And like I said, we have a good one in Boston and Miami. 47-44, Boston is up. So I don't know. The basketball is good. Breaking news. So basketball is very good. And yeah, I trying to think of anything else that might have happened. The bunch of coaching teams that I kind of touched on it Monday, and I just made me think of it when I saw the Bucks interviewed Houston's head coach, not the Houston Rockets, but University of Houston's head coach, Kelvin Sampson. And I'm very interested about these coaching situations, because the Bucks, the Pistons, the Suns, I feel like I'm forgetting some teams, but some big heavy hitters, along with, like I said, the Pistons. Pistons figuring out who's going to coach this young bunch is very vital to them. And, these bigger teams, if they go after a guy who kind of should be developing talent and takes away the Pistons' target, that could set the Pistons back pretty bad. I think they already did lose one with, like, Ime Udoka being, getting hired by Houston. I think they probably wanted him, but that changed quickly. The Milwaukee Bucks are super interesting because they want to win now, obviously, and I think their roster reflects that very much. And they're also going into an offseason where they have several free agents. Chris Middleton has a player option. Brook Lopez is a free agent. I want to say they have a couple bench guys that are. So the Bucks are in a very interesting, peculiar spot, because they also have to keep Giannis happy, because you can't have Giannis being unhappy and wanting out of Milwaukee, which could very quickly develop, because, the NBA is a very flowing league where things happen quickly. People get soured on quickly. The coaches are a great example of that, with many of them being fired. The Raptors were another team, and the Raptors are, once again, I think Fred VanVleet is a free agent, where I don't know what the Raptors exactly do from here to make their team better and actually desirable for a head coach as well. So the Phoenix Suns, Kevin Durant and Booker are there, but obviously there's issues with Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton being there. There are issues with those players that I don't think can really be healed quickly, and so I don't know. So, but I think that'll do it for me. Just a short episode here, shorter than normal. I wanted to touch on the draft stuff, the NBA draft stuff. Obviously, the conference finals, there's not as many playoffs going on outside, in the NBA, so it's kind of hard for me talk about a bunch of them. Hockey has some stuff going on. Dallas ended up winning that game against the Kraken, so a very non-traditional hockey final. And I don't know if I think it's bad for the sport. Like, as much as the hockey playoffs are good, and I talk about it, this second round wasn't great, despite the game 7. And the markets are Dallas, Vegas, Florida, and Carolina. So, I mean, it's the South, the SEC. It just means more. Hockey just means more to the South than the North. I guess that's the generalization I have to come to, and I'm sorry for all my Northern listeners and whatnot, but the South runs hockey. I don't make the rules. I just follow them. So. But also the Arizona Coyotes. Arizona Coyotes might be on the way out. Houston was described as a place potentially. Quebec potentially. So we'll see. The Coyotes that's been a weird mess of a team that I've been hearing about just from an outsider's perspective. Similar to how the Athletics are just like not really interested or interesting for Oakland fans. Coyotes are not interesting for Arizona fans. And they can't get an arena deal done. So if you can't have anywhere to play, then you just move. So I don't know. That's the puck minute. That's the hockey minute for you. And like I said, with that, I'll let you go on your way. As always, make sure to like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Make sure to check out the video about the drinks, the drink bracket. Make sure to check out LK Sports Talk, LK League Notes coming out on Friday. Article on some quarterback situations coming out here shortly after this. So a lot of content, a lot of stuff. And like I said,